Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Design Build Central, a podcast by Design Build Remodelers for Design Build Remodelers. And I am one of your hosts, Bill Milholland, along with
your secondary host, Bruce Case.
Secondary?
Yes, secondary.
Come on, man.
Can I throw out something?
Yeah.
Design. We've both been saying podcast by Design Build Remodelers for Design Build Remodelers. What if we tried to open our audience to remodelers? Do you think that's bad? Do you think we need to? Yeah, but some of the stuff we talk about,
right? We throw a bigger net.
I think it's for every human being on the planet.
So we're going to be
for everybody.
We're remodelers for remodelers.
We're just human beings for other human beings. Is that
talk about remodeling? Okay. If you'd like to join us, welcome aboard. So today we thought we might talk a little bit about what's going on in the world from a perspective of not that way, from a client sentiment sort of perspective, what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what the vibe is out there. But before we get started on that, just wanted to remind everybody that is listening that we are now on video. Woo-hoo. And as frightening as that may be, you're welcome to watch. And you can find us on YouTube under Qualified Remodeler, and they've got a series of videos there, one of which is ours. And we've also backed it up with a secondary source, and that is just under DB Central. So you can find us that way. I think we have a couple posted already. This will add to it. Enjoy. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Second thing I want to touch on really, really briefly is we have some guests coming to visit us soon.
Yes, we do.
And those guests are winners or the winner and the runners-up of the Fred Case Award. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something we take for granted and lose sight of every once in a while. But it's Fred, so we need to continue to keep that front and center because he meant a lot to all of us here at Case, but secondarily, because it's just a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fun to get to talk to other people that do what we do, spend the day with them. We have dinner the night before. We talk shop. We run, marketing, accounting, HR, IT, sales, design, production, and probably others through the room, share exactly what we're doing, how we're doing it, engage, chat, talk about all those sorts of things. And maybe if you're really good, that could happen to you. So keep an eye on Qualified Remodeler. They're our partner in this.
Yep. And also you can Google Fred Case Remodeling Award, and it'll come up. Yep. Also a link to the actual page. And you'd be shocked at the types of applications we get. You don't have to reinvent cold fusion to win this or to be a finalist at all. I mean, frankly, it's hard to be innovative. This is a hard industry. It's hard to be innovative. There's a cap of $8 million annual revenue. So you're sort of working against your peers. It's not like some $100 million company that can be innovative in different ways. So I'd really recommend applying, and it gives you a chance to sit back and think for an hour while you do the application about what did we innovate. It's kind of a nice opportunity to pat yourself on the back.
Mm-hmm. So, So please make sure you are in the mix because we'd love to have you. The other thing that I just wanted to float as an idea is associated with that, we do an annual meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And that means we gather the entire team, 130, 40, 50, whatever it is, along with some guests, including if any of the award winners want to join us.
Right.
And we go through an exercise of just sharing sort of what we've experienced the past year, what's coming up, celebrate some wins, those sorts of things, give out some awards. And I would imagine maybe other companies have some sort of annual meeting or big meeting where they gather the team around. And just if anybody would be interested, maybe in that as an episode topic of what we cover, what we do, that sort of thing. If that's of interest, just shoot us an email at dbcentral at casedesign.com. I said at before that, just wanted to restate that. So again, dbcentral at casedesign.com. If you're interested in just what the program might be look like for that, the content, and if you're potentially an episode. We could spend 20 minutes talking through what we do,
Yep.
sort of thing.
That's a great idea.
Because we do it every year for a long time now. So anyway, just wanted to get a couple of those things out. And so now back to the topic. I'm hoping you've got this all figured out, because I was going to introduce the idea and run. But anyway, we, as I think you guys know, we are in the DC market. So we service the city of Washington, DC, suburban Maryland, and suburban Virginia. This area is fairly heavily influenced by the federal government. Even if people don't work for the government, somehow they are associated with contractors that might. A lot of the businesses work with the government. A lot of attorneys and lobbyists and people like that associated with the government. So with the turmoil going on right now, and again, it's not necessarily job losses. It's, slow down, pump the brakes, figure out what's going on. Economically, there are certain areas of the country that may be up or down, but we thought we'd share at least what we're seeing from a client perspective.
Right.
And I'm going to throw out 3 just big.
Do I get to pick a door, or how does it work?
And then I'm hoping you'll fill in the rest and tell everybody what they need to do.
After 3? Or
let's just see how it goes, because that's the kind of guys we are,
I'm a
right?
control freak, so okay, I'll go with it.
So number 1, attention. And that sounds like a really simple topic, but it is hard right now. And
that was number 1.
Getting a client's attention. Okay. Was it really?
It was.
All right. So what do you got for number 2?
Control.
What
was that on your list?
Control, number 2 on my list.
Okay.
Damn, that's consistent.
No, okay.
All right. And third, those were my showstoppers.
Sorry,
so that's all I got.
To do that, folks.
But number 3 is lack of urgency.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't have that, Bill. You're amazing. Well,
walking slowly through the process.
Yes.
Do you have a number 3?
My number 3 was actually delay.
Delay, kind of, sort of. Same thing. Yeah. So interesting.
Delay/time, I wrote.
Yeah.
Which is the same concept.
Urgency, time, delay, slow moving.
I was just trying to build you. I felt bad that I sort of stepped on your toes there with attention and control.
No, that's good. Consistency.
Interesting.
So it sounds like there is some agreement on what those issues are. Now, the big riddle is, what do we do about that?
I had nothing written there. Did you?
Because, I do, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Not a lot, but again, don't know about the rest of the world, but we are finding life gets in the way, right, from the attention perspective. And that is just getting often to professional people to take a breath, sit in a room, and focus on a project is a really challenging thing to do.
Yep.
And I don't even know that is just during sort of the design and sales perspective. I think even in production, if you wanted to get those 2 people together at the same time to have a conversation about where are we going to hang that chandelier, it could be here or here.
Yep.
It's still hard.
Not to mention, on top of those, if there's 2 homeowners, getting our 3 team members there too. Right. It's like 5 people. It's exponentially difficult.
So it's just something, and I don't know what to do about it, but I got some ideas.
Bring them on.
And that is because attention is so hard when you have it, you better be ready, So you better be prepared. You better maximize it. And then you ought to schedule the next interaction when you will get that attention. Because if you don't, you're not going to get it when you need it. So that's just something as simple as never leave a meeting without scheduling the next meeting. You can always reschedule it. You can always move it. You can always cancel it if you needed to, but get it on a calendar. We actually had somebody come in a couple of weeks ago that was more focused on wellness. And one of the things I in my recollection is she talked about is a lot of people don't like surprises and want to know what's coming. So that's maybe something else you can do in terms of attention is map out a little bit of a game plan, a little bit of a timeline, a little bit of take a breath. All I need is 1 hour of your time every week and a half,
Right.
every 2 weeks for a month or whatever the appropriate period of time is. Make it feel like it's an achievable goal, that it's not going to be burdensome, and they know what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple thoughts I had on the sort of the attention, but I think don't underestimate, like, you got to be ready to dance when the curtain opens, man, because you may not get a second chance.
Totally agree. I mean, I didn't write anything down, but two other thoughts spinning off of what you shared, Bill. One is, once you set the next meeting up, try to find a way a couple days before that next meeting to remind them, circling back, excited to meet with you tomorrow at 2 or whatever. And here's some key areas we're going to be talking about, because it's easy sometimes for folks, even that meeting was set up a week or two before, to change. I think the other thing is the environment. I think we'd all agree makes a big difference. We've all been in situations in the home where it's easier for homeowners, understandably, I mean, it's their home, to get distracted, or things come up, or things happen when they're in our environment. For instance, we have design studios. You could bring them into an office, even a showroom. If you don't have one, I think it's a little more controlled, and they're there pretty much 100% focused on you, other than maybe their iPhone.
And not as easily distracted as they might be in their home. So back to that point of sort of attention, I wish our team would get a little better at trying to be the hero in the situation and tease content for, everybody's busy. Create the reason why they should be excited about meeting with you. We got this new sample and I'm so excited to show it to you. Or we worked on this rendering and the materials we selected at the last meeting look fabulous. Here's a little snippet of what you can expect. That sort of stuff. Make sure they feel good about giving you their most precious commodity right now, which is attention.
One thing, Bill, just to back up even on attention, I know sometimes it's hard for everybody to get both. I'm being stereotypical. If there are two decision makers in the home, how do you get them both there? Sometimes they're both there, but assuming one of them, a lot of times, one-legger sort of wording is used, but one spouse or one homeowner might just be there. How do you try to get both there, or do you believe in trying to get both there?
I think I believe in trying to get both there, but trying would be the key word, that you don't want to overstep that, because oftentimes there is one person that is driving the project, and you want to be respectful of that, often the woman, and you want to be respectful of that. The other thing is, sometimes I think people lose sight of technology. Would it be helpful if we just got Jim on a Zoom call or a Teams meeting, just so he can feel like he's involved? He can, be working while he's doing it. We can do it at lunch, whatever makes the most sense. I know it's logistically hard for him to get here from wherever he is, to not lose sight of that. Or send them an agenda, perhaps. We have a couple people on the team that are really good about that, and let the client self-select. If Jim decides it's not important because what they're going to be doing is picking backsplash tile and grout, maybe Jim doesn't care. That's okay. But maybe it's going to be, hey, we just want to review where we're at and the budget implications of previous conversations. Maybe Jim wants to be sure he's involved in that. Right. But to again, just make sure they understand why it is that you're meeting, and suggest everybody involved should be there. Right. But I don't think you say, as a policy for the company, we only meet when that's
totally agree. Great. I mean, something else I've heard people use, which I think is clever, because it's very sensitive, is which is fair. And there's often, as you said, one person that really is driving the project, but is even to offer wording to a homeowner, even early on in the first appointment, of, is there anybody else who has passion or input or thoughts on this project? And they might say, oh, the other person in the house doesn't care about the selections, but they care about money. Okay, well, that's good to know. Maybe we should have and I think your technology point's fantastic. Maybe we should weave them in and talk about that a little bit.
Why not? Yeah, why not? So number 2 on both of our lists, control. What are your thoughts around that?
I like to have more than less. I know we've talked about this, but when there's times of uncertainty, especially pretty extreme uncertainty, at least for a lot of people, no matter how you feel about the environment that we're in, the politics, the world, whatever, reality, I think most people agree that there's uncertainty. And when there's that level of uncertainty, I think human nature is to want to have some control. I want something to hold on to that I feel like I have some control over. And especially in home remodeling, where I'm talking about people ripping up my house. I mean, you talk about lack of control. My home is kind of my sanctuary, my oasis, whatever.
Yep.
I value it. And now you're talking about ripping that up too. Are you kidding me? So I think any ways that we can have, and we're talking about homeowners, this applies to employees, I think, too, or to you and I, but any ways that we can help emphasize to homeowners that, number one, this is your home. This is your environment. We respect it. Number two, yes, we're talking about renovations and things, but you control what we're doing.
Right.
It's your budget.
Right.
It's your timeline. It's your scope of work. And number three is that we're not, depends on the scope of the work, of course, but if we're doing your kitchen, we're not going to, and again, this wording isn't sophisticated, but basically we're not ripping up your whole house. We're going to carefully seal off this part of the house. We respect the fact that you need your own place, your own home, those kind of things.
Yep.
But those are some.
No, I think that's great.
Thoughts.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, the easiest thing to say is it's a sort of unpredictable world right now, a lot of uncertainty, but uncertainty can just be, you have 3 small children and your weekends are no longer your own. You know,
actually,
this one's going to ballet, that one's going to soccer, then this one's got to be taken to a birthday party, and gosh, I got to get a gift, and and you just feel like you have no agency anymore.
Excellent point.
You work for that. And that if you can find this little space to carve out and say, well, this, I think I'm picking the backsplash tile.
And this is for me.
I'm picking,
right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Treat to myself. That's an excellent point. Yeah.
That I think just everyday life is so complicated right now that even whatever, I think most people are feeling this. And I think that idea of making sure a client understands this is your home, this is your decision to make. You control this. We're gonna advocate for you. We're gonna collaborate with you. We're gonna give you the best options we can, but you control what direction this project goes. You want to spend less? Let's spend less. You want to spend more? Let's spend more. You want to reduce the scope of the project? We're going to reduce the scope of the project. You control that. Now, we're going to maybe give you guidance one way or the other, but we want to make sure, back to that control.
I've read to this issue. I've read things about a lot of folks feel like they have less control now than during COVID.
Yeah.
Which is saying a lot, because obviously COVID was horrible.
Yep.
A lot of people died, it affected the world and all of that. But there were certain things, okay, it wasn't great, but okay, I can wear a mask. Okay, I can try to be safe. I can, stay at home if I'm not feeling well. Things like that. I had some control,
And you got to make the decision.
True. Whether to get vaccinated.
I can go out, I can do this, I can do that. If that's what's,
Whereas in this environment, putting aside, like you made a great point. This doesn't just apply to today's world with 3 kids and trying to drive them everywhere. But in this environment, it's sort of hard sometimes with certain things to know, do I have any agency over this?
Right.
Yeah.
And you feel helpless.
Yeah.
And we don't want clients to feel that way. If you're not confident, you're not going to make decisions.
And on a personal level, I've been trying to focus a little more on this as opposed to, what's going on here and here and here. I mean, we all do some of that, but it's what, let me as a human being, let me focus a little bit on what I can control.
Right. And I think, maybe as part of all this, just using that word, just using that word, control, I think is probably a good idea. And you want to think about how you do that. You want to wordsmith it. You want to do all those sorts of things, but just making sure the client is controlling the project, I think is important. Don't dance around that word.
And to me, that's a huge benefit of, and I'm speaking of the choir, of design build in particular, because we are an iterative process working together. Yeah.
And then the final thing on our list, whether that's delays or sense of urgency or time or whatever it is, I think there's consensus around people are not moving through a process, at least for us, as quickly as they were before. And I think some of that is this lack of control. Your world's out of kilter. You're so busy. You can't find time to devote attention to this, all of those sorts of things. But, we got bills to pay, right? So we got to keep the train moving. And I wrote it down because I always say objects in motion.
Yep.
But probably the proper way to say that would be Newton's first law of motion.
Ooh, let me drop the pen.
Which relates to inertia.
Oh, wow. We're going
which
deep.
is that objects resist changes in motion. I looked it up. So
I noticed you're reading this, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I know it's Newton's first law, and I know objects in motion because I say that all the time, but there is something to momentum, to motion, regardless of what that motion is. Schedule that meeting, meet that client. I don't care if you got nothing to say. Think of something to say. Meet that client. Make sure you're moving forward. Because objects at rest tend to stay at rest.
Right.
Design, sales, production, if a job comes to a halt, it's really hard to get that going again. And I think that's what we see with this lack of control some people feel, or they don't have the time or the energy to devote attention. It stops the project.
Yep.
And once the project stops, it's really hard. So I think the key to this delay, time, lack of urgency is keep it moving, and then dig for what matters, urgency.
Right.
And if nothing matters, create something that matters. People don't think they can do that, and I'm not convinced of that. Okay, it would be wonderful if you're enjoying this new addition, kitchen, family room, screen porch, deck by the holidays next year. Oh yeah, by the holidays. Okay, the holidays it is, and work back from that. And oh, how about that? Here we are. We better get moving because based on the amount of scope of work, it's going to take this much time to put a project together. It's going to take this much time to build that project. It's going to take this much time to gear up for production in terms of permits and cabinet orders and all of that sort of stuff. And we're up against it, gang. We got to keep moving. You just created that urgency. They just said, yeah, by the holidays would be great. They didn't say to you, I want that space by the holidays.
Right.
You suggested it. And it's amazing. Once people latch on to, once you have something, it's really hard to give it up.
Yeah. We were talking the other day about another example, and it needs to be real, of course, but like this project manager is perfect for this project. And it's got to be true. You've got to believe it. It's got to be true. But if it's true, talk to the homeowner, build that project manager up and, make that part of the reason for them to continue forward.
Early in a new year, you see price increases all the time.
Which is
hey,
true.
just want a heads up. This time of year, we are pretty regularly exposed to 3, 5, 7, 10% price increases for these sorts of materials. In the scope of work that you're talking about, it's not billions of dollars, but it might be, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 worth of work. $4,000? Yeah. Well, how do we avoid that? Well, we'd have to be purchasing things by this date. Well, how do we purchase things by that date? And just all of a sudden you have something you can wrap a timeline around, maybe get that client's attention and get that project wrapped up.
Yeah, I think to me, another thing I throw into this attention sort of thing is our belief here, case of the power of three, because I think you mentioned momentum, and I totally agree. And I think in addition to the ball dropping, letting a job sit for 3-4 weeks, whether it's certainly in production, but in the sales design process without working with the homeowner, I think another thing is if there are not thoughtfully curated selections for a client to make, ideally the power of three, give them 3 different design schemes, 3 different options for the tile. If it's, go to the tile showroom and they'll help you and you can pick things, because I understand short term, you don't want to spend 3 hours at a tile showroom with them and all. If you do that, that job is going to lose momentum, in my opinion, because they're going to see this world of tile and it's just going to ground to a halt, or, you could go on and on. If you give them 6 design schemes and then all of a sudden the attention and the 3 gives them an option to pick sort of, low, medium, high. One's maybe not quite right. The other's not quite, but maybe the middle one's okay. But maybe share your thoughts on that.
Totally. It is bewildering and overwhelming to face this number of options, and you feel like you need to explore or think about each one of them in order to make the right decision. And you will always question that decision because there are so many
even after
options.
The fact.
Of course you will.
Yeah.
Where if you've got professional advice,
that's why they're paying.
That's why they came to us. We need to have an opinion, and you can agree with it or not, but based on your home, your situation, the things you shared with me that you like, this are one of those is what I recommend.
And again, you're closer to this than I, Bill, but my impression is that we do that. Well, we do that, but then they'll typically say, well, I like 2/3 of this one, but I do like the island on this one.
Absolutely.
And that's fine, right? I mean, okay, now we've got it.
Right. I mean, we used the word directional a while ago. That's what we're looking for. Like, we want directional guidance, and we can change some of the pieces and parts in there as we go, but we got to start somewhere. And again, building momentum. Pick the cabinet. The cabinet will dictate this, then we can pick countertops and backsplash tile, and we can start to think about where appliances go and all all of those sorts of things fall into place. Just make one little decision to keep that moving. And I think your point about not in a way that controls that client, but in a way that helps that client. You want to limit choices.
Yeah.
I mean, just what you want to do.
So as you know, Bill, my wife and I redid our kitchen not too long ago. Yeah. And to your point about helping the client, curating or expert opinion, one of the key steps, as we all know, is appliance shopping, right? So we walk into the appliance store, my wife and I hadn't been appliance shopping in a long time. Mm-hmm. And it was just, for my wife and I both, just mind-boggling. I can't explain to you, even though I'm in the business, I get it. My wife's a smart lady.
You both enjoy cooking. So this is really important to you.
Which almost makes
harder.
Almost paralyzed. Right. If we didn't care, we're like, oh, what's the cheapest? Or just that one looks pretty. So you're right. It made it almost harder.
Yep.
And so we literally had to leave. We were there for a couple hours or something, the poor sales guy, leave and then come back. And we probably, because we lost momentum, we didn't come back for maybe a month later. And I felt bad, but it's just we couldn't, and we weren't, it wasn't so much that we're so busy, we're busy, but it's not that, that's an excuse. It was more just our mental energy of, okay, are we going to reopen all that? So I'm rambling, but
it's interesting. And as you're saying that, since you're a real world example of that, and let's say we were scheduling all this for you and all the rest, if we would take the strategy of saying, hey, look, we're going to, next up, we need to sort out appliances. Let me tell you, the world of appliances has gotten a whole lot more complicated in the last 10 years. There's technologies involved. There's finishes involved. There are ranges versus ovens versus speed cooking things, built-in versus standalone. It's overwhelming. So I think as a first step, what we ought to do is set up a 1-hour appointment that's a broad overview.
Brilliant.
Of what your options are. You're not there to make a decision. You're just there to get an idea, an overview of what's possible. Then we're going to set another appointment for 2 weeks after that, where you've had time to marinate on that. You've got a little bit of exposure. Maybe you've even done a little bit of research now that you've seen them. And now you might be able to, or be prepared to say, okay, we've decided, we think we want to go with the built-in refrigerator. Let's look at the options for the built-in refrigerators. Would something like that have helped you?
Hugely. Yeah. We would have, first of all, like the way you said it confidently, hey, this is the way we do it.
Right.
We would have been okay. Right. But second of all, to your point, that first visit, it would have taken all that mind trash pressure off and just like, okay, we're just here to kind of get oriented.
Right.
This isn't, like you said, it's not decision. Nope. And so it would have just, it would have been fabulous.
Yeah. And I just wonder, everything's like that.
Oh my, yeah.
Everything. Yeah. Cabinets, tile, countertops, windows, doors.
And then a lot of times we can't, because of permitting or production lead times or all this other stuff, we can't start the job for 3 months. And then, including my wife and I admit it, I'm being honest, it's like, wait a minute, I can't remember what we picked for that.
What did we
pick? We weren't, obviously we were thrilled with what we picked, but and then you think about homeowners who don't do this for a living. It's amazing.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We as remodelers, not necessarily design build remodelers.
Yeah.
Get anything done.
Yes.
So
incredible. We
can go on and on about this for days and days, but I think it's time to wrap it up. But I know our team, me, and I would encourage others to think about what it's like to be a client right now in your unique, specific situation, maybe radically different than ours, but think about what that's like and maybe even what that's like at different points in life. This group of clients dealing with young children probably has these things on their mind. These people whose children are off at college but come back periodically, maybe in a little different place. These people who have adult children may be like that. And think a little bit about what it's like to be them, what might be important to them, what the challenges or struggles they're going to have to get through this, and adapt to that. Like, they love to cook and they're going to be really particular about their appliances. Let's approach the appliances this way.
Versus a different client.
It's just like, my kids are little. I just need to make dinner. I'm making mac and cheese every night. I just need a range. That's what I need. Okay. And tailor to that. But I think we do better when we put ourselves in our clients' shoes.
Amen.
and think about how do we best respond to them, as opposed to saying, this is the way we did it. You mentioned that in a meeting this morning that, things have changed over the course of the last 3, 5, 7 years. And we need to be open to adapting our game to the situation.
And I think, in addition, I think we'd all agree this applies to our team too. Obviously, we're talking about the clients, but our team members are going through all kinds of attention challenges, distractions, maybe some feelings of lack of control over certain things, and trying to work with each of them individually, like you said, with clients, because they're different buttons for each of them.
Yeah. So fascinating subject.
Yes.
Wish we had better guidance, guys, but that's what we got, right? We're going to give it a shot. If we figure it out, we might share it.
Or if you figure it out.
Oh, that would be even better.
dbcentral@casedesign.com. Just send us an email.
Then don't forget leave us a comment or shoot us an email, whatever. However you do these things nowadays, about the annual meeting, if that's of any interest. And if you guys have any other ideas,
And the Fred Case Award, I thought, was a great point. And, to keep his legacy, but also, apply.
Yeah.
Put yourself out.
So much fun. So much fun. I promise you it'd be worth it if you win. Promise you. You even get dinner.
I think we go to a steak place.
We are.
If you're a vegetarian,
they make a mean broccoli.
Yes.
So anyway, dbcentral@casedesign.com, and I think we are done, sir.
Good job.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.